All right, let me make sure I hit the record button. And good afternoon. It's a Friday. I am Jeneen of Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, where we're caring, achieving, restoring, empowering, and supporting our youth for the future. I am excited to have another, what I would deem, legacy leader here with me today. I'm always interested in interviewing people who are in our Frederick community for various reasons. Because of my ability to connect with people, I've had the opportunity to view and find and recruit people off of Facebook to come on to the show with me. So again, I want to remind anyone who's watching this, if you know a legacy leader and you want to recommend them to be on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, or if you are a legacy leader, please, invite yourself onto the show and share with me your just story. And so the first question when I talk to legacy leaders is really for them to identify what it is that makes them unique. Right now, the uniqueness for me is really getting Facebook to allow me to stream this video. And so I'm going to try again on the stream part of it to go live on Facebook, because it still says it's preparing. And so that means I may have to start over with trying to go live on Facebook. But in the meantime, could you please introduce yourself? I'm calling you just a legacy leader. Tell me your name. Tell me your, what it is that allowed you to be in the position of leadership that you are today. Describe for the audience of parents and students kind of who you are, what your birthplace was, and some of the things along the way in your career, I guess I would say with your, your schooling that allowed you to have core values that you live from today that describe who you are. So give us your background. Give us your story. Tell us your story.
So my name is Terrellyn Thrasher, and I'm originally from Miami, Florida. A military spouse, actually. My husband retired about 3 years ago and did 25 years in the military. And he asked me where I wanted to reside and grow old. And I said, Maryland. And I wanted to grow old in Maryland because I went to Troy University. I'm an alumni of Troy University. I graduated with a bachelor's in political science. So politics has always been like my passion. Nice. And so we moved to Maryland. We found Frederick and made it our home. And I hit the ground running and started my own nonprofit called Pure Love Incorporation, where that's where my first connection with youth is, where I made available after school programs. So I had dance programs, art programs, and it was in Walkersville in Discovery. And we had summer camp programs. We did community gardens in Discovery. I chose Discovery because it was very interesting. When I moved to Frederick, we moved to Walkersville. And every time I walked around, people asked me like, do you stay in Discovery? And I'm like, why do they keep asking me if I stay in Discovery? So I guess because that's where all the Black people stay. So I was like, that's very interesting. I'm like, no, I don't stay in Discovery. I stay right here in Walkersville. And it's really interesting because Walkersville is part of Discovery. Discovery is part of Walkersville, but they don't want to miss the two, right? So, and then Discovery and Walkersville is so far out from the city that they don't get the services that they should have. It's not far out, but close, but far. Does that make sense? So I said, okay, let me just start this nonprofit organization. Let me start this program. And the Pure Love was Preserve Unity, Render Empowerment. That was PURE. That was the acronym for PURE. And
one more time for it, PURE.
Preserve Unity, Render Empowerment.
Nice.
Yeah. Love it. So I did the dance program. The girls had a great time. I had 7 girls in my class. I had a young girl that was named Madison that volunteered to teach my class. I had volunteers come all the way from Pennsylvania for my summer program classes. Wow. So then I started to expand it a little more and say, you know what, we need to go back outside of Discovery and bring it into the city. And that's where I was able to obtain my first partnership with Boys and Girls Club. Nice. And I had the after school program within 4 middle schools of Frederick County. And so it was Monocacy Middle, Thurmont, it was TJ Middle, and the other one, Crestwood. I want to say it was Crestwood.
Very nice. All
and so, and the kids enjoyed it, and they had photography, they had dance. I had employees that were teaching these classes, and one of the young ladies now is a very great mentor at Frederick High, and it started with my program. Like, she was ready to go and leave Frederick, but she was like, no, your program like empowered me to go further. And so now she's employed with FCPS. So that warms my spirit, that I know that me just planting the seeds or just, expand. So that was my first encounter with youth in Frederick. I also have 3 children. My daughter graduated from TJ High. I have a son that goes to Frederick High, and I have a daughter that at Whittier Elementary, and they are wonderful kids. My daughter was just wanted to go to school and get done with school, and now she's a cosmetologist. I mean, she went to cosmetology school, and then my son is in Frederick High. He's a jock. He loves sports. He just he does get involved in school, but yeah, that's something that he does. And so, I expanded my program a little more, and I started moving into Baltimore, and I was volunteering in Baltimore, and I gave them 375 backpacks for a backpack drive. Wow. And that was going to secure my partnership with this organization. And the backpacks had pencils, paper, everything you can use for first day of school, it had it in there. Oh. And that was, that built a relationship for me in Baltimore. So I had a relationship in Frederick, and I had a relationship in Baltimore with the youth.
I love it. Very strategic, and you have your passion, you have your purpose, and you have your strategy for implementation. Go ahead.
Right. So I just was just like, you know what? And that's what got me my first like paid job, not nonprofit, was in Baltimore. So that's how it just all went full circle. Please. And now I'm just here, just figuring out what our school system has come to. And I knew that I would eventually have to do more, because my daughter was one of those, we moved out of Walkersville because my daughter was called racial names. Okay. She was put on a hit list. Because she was a Black girl. And she was just like, Mom, I don't want my sister and brother to grow up in this. So we need to move to the city. So that's what brought us into Frederick City. And we've been in Frederick City for ever since. So like 7 years in Frederick City, 8 years in the county, 1 year in the county. So we've been here for 8 years in total.
Very interesting. I connect, first of all, my name is Jeneen Beck. I am the Achievement Specialist for School Culture here in Frederick County Public Schools. I also have a nonprofit called Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, where we're caring, achieving, restoring, empowering, and supporting our youth for the future. The most important aspect of who I am is, number one, a child of God, but also a parent. And so I was just interviewed recently for an induction into the International League of Professional Women or something like that I'm proud to be accepted a part of. And so they'll be coming out soon with that information. But I think I am most proud of being a mom, and I'm listening to your story and connecting in so many ways. First of all, my husband is 25 years military as well, interestingly enough. And I have children, through him and through marriage, 2 biological of my own, and 3 stepchildren. So I have the TJ area that I'm affiliated with. We actually met at West Frederick Middle School, mentoring. We're both mentoring in the community. And so you and I have a lot of similarities in terms of the mentoring passion, and the passion. It sounds like you would have a passion for equity, as I do as well, right? So my next question, given all that I have said so far, could you please tell me, since March 13th, on March 12th, I was at Hillcrest Elementary School delivering professional learning to a staff, the entire staff. And we got the notification from Amber Madigan, the assistant principal, that, the next day would be the last day for 2 weeks. And so that's where I was on March 12th. I don't know if you can remember where you were on March 12th when you learned that on March 13th that you would be quarantined for 2 weeks. And the 2 weeks turned into, we're still here, right? So What has been on your mind since that time? You've already spoken about some things that kind of elicit where your core values are. But what's been on your mind? Give me 3 or 4 things that have been on your mind since the start of quarantine.
So March 12th, I was at work. And I work for the Baltimore Police Department. And so there was a lot of things going through my mind. One, Baltimore is huge when it comes to COVID. I was thinking I got to go buy some groceries, lots of it.
Well, for me, I was going to buy some hair because I have my own hair. I have natural up under this thing, and
my hair was going, and I was like, I did some loctician. It was just a lot.
Yes,
it was like that's what I was thinking. Like, wow, is the world about to stop? Like, is it about to literally stop?
Well, I have friends calling for food, and I have friends telling me get some ammunition. So I was like,
yeah, you're right.
Weapons.
Right.
It's gonna be this serious, is it?
Right. So then you had the cold. Then you had what? You have COVID, and then you had the protesters. A lot has happened since we've been in COVID. You've had. I'm just going by what I went through.
You're perfect. Go for it.
So my kids, I was working full time at home. I had to turn something into an office very quickly. I had my daughter on the floor, my son on the floor, them doing homework. I'm still trying to do my work. It was a mess. And then the riots broke out in Baltimore. That was very emotional for me because I knew a lot of those people that was on the front line. And it was just like, it was so many things going on in my head. It was then here in Frederick, we were dealing with, it was so many things that happened that I feel wouldn't have happened and needed to happen because we're in pause, right? People had time to actually think and process what was going on when it came to racial profiling, when it came to inequalities. They had time to think now. When these things were always going on, but because everything was at a pause, now you had time to think and act. When before, when everything was going on, people were like, oh, it's happening, some are protesting, but people are still moving, and people got to witness.
Everybody was present.
Everybody was present. And that was, I think, to me, that's a lot. Like, that's a lot, right?
It's almost overwhelming at times when you have to manage, you spoke about your household and your children being a parent. I actually wrote a song about being a homeschool teacher. It was just a lot. And then your job, you said you work for the police department. So how you must be in not obviously a front lines kind of, so administrative. You want to speak to that at all?
Right. So I'm a civilian person and an employee. And and basically what I do, I work with the judges, I work with correctional facilities, I work with Department of Probation, all that paused. I mean, everybody we stopped working. So we had to think about some of my clients that got incarcerated again. Like it was just everything was just kind of like, what are we going to do? We couldn't go into the correctional facility to see anybody. We couldn't go. So it was kind of just like, maybe we needed it. Maybe we needed the pause, right? But at the same time, it made everybody woke. Like it's just, everybody was woke.
That's one of my phrases. Stay woke.
It was woke. Yeah.
So I can only imagine, but for you, what do you feel out of all the things you just mentioned? What has been the hardest? Where do you see your focus going? What has been the hardest, or is the hardest your focus, or are you avoiding your hardest, or what is your hardest thing for you?
So the hardest thing for me right now is like, I don't know if I shared it that I'm running for state delegate. Okay. And being that I am new in Frederick, I have to work harder. And being that I cannot connect to the community, I have to find more innovative ways to connect. And that has been I have people that mentor me on my campaign, people that are like really helping me, like, and just to stay grounded, but I do have a confession that I do check out. When I say check out, I mean like not mentally, like I'm shutting down. I'm not answering emails.
I didn't be protesting the workload.
Right. And so then my friend Desiree will be like, "You can't check out no more." I'm like, "What?" So now I'm just like,
good friends hold you accountable.
Yeah. So now I can't check out no more. So now I've started running again to try to kind of like get all this like,
yes,
like all this.
Me too.
Like just and it's a lonely walk, right? So just running for office as a Black woman in Frederick is a lonely walk. And I don't know if are we being transparent? So if we're being transparent, like one of the biggest things for me is just having to connect to the community, but the Black community. I'm going to be totally honest. Like to connect in the Black community in Frederick has been weighing me down. Like, and I get it. Like, I get it. I'm from Florida. My when you go deep in where my roots and my ancestors and my community and our family, we have a strong presence of where we live. So we are protective of, of our community. And I get that's what Frederick is doing, but I also understand, I feel like them doing that can definitely cripple how Frederick can move forward when you have somebody that is willing to be on the front line and you don't support that person because they're not from Frederick. That has been a huge thing for me.
Amazing, I guess, reflection moment for you. And I will say, as a native of Philadelphia and actually the administrator for my 21st year, the majority of my career was in Montgomery County Public School. And so kudos, first of all, to Montgomery County Public Schools, because I feel like I was born and raised in education in Montgomery County, right? And so coming here, I was prepared to be a leader in Frederick as a result of the training in Montgomery. However, I do feel like I have been reminded that you are not a Frederick leader. And so there is a little bit of, I'm feeling you on that. I do think that I have had parents, I have had administrators, teachers also kind of feel the kind of Frederick way and not be really feeling inclusive. And so I share that sentiment with you, and I don't know, what we can do to go beyond that besides continue to be authentic, right? Show up. I do believe that actions speak louder than words. And so one of the things that caused me to invite you on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S was your work in the community. I mean, I see you interviewing every single board member that is on the ballots. I mean, first of all, that's a challenging task, right?
A challenging task, because not all of them I was sweating sometimes, like, what?
They are trained, they're going to get into politics, right? So they already know how to walk the walk and talk the talk.
No, but let me be very honest. Some of them wouldn't have survived on Capitol Hill. No shade to them. Like some of these candidates would have been like done, because it was like you could tell when they were like, when those questions was getting deep, they were like they some of them even challenged me, and I was like, wait a minute.
And when they're actually at the board of education and the parents are coming, right? A lot of parents that are really well, skilled as giving you quality feedback, I'll say.
Right.
In the nicest way. And I appreciate every single one of them. As a principal of Ballinger, I'm like, come on, let me have it. What can I do better, right? And I appreciate leaders like that who are restorative. I have received those emails telling me how I should have done this, that, and that. Because I'm that parent. So I don't even get upset or offended at all.
You can't.
Instead, I look at myself in my building, like, okay, what do we need to do better?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like I said, I've worked on campaigns and politics. I'm an Emerge Maryland alumni, and Diane Fink kudos to her. She trained us well. And I just have to say, like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm taking things a little bit too personal. It's like, this is,
don't do that.
Don't take it personal. Like, this is people's children. This is what we elected you for. So I just had to do it, right? I had to, and a lot of people were calling me going, Taylor, who do I vote for? Who do I vote for? And I'm like, wait a minute. What is Frederick doing? We are not educating these people on who they vote for. So now we're just gonna keep voting people by name? Can't keep doing that. We need to make sure they know who they're voting for.
It's interesting that you said that, because I did the flip side of that. So on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually interviewed all the current board members, with the exception of Liz Barrett. I haven't been able to get her on the show yet. I had extended the invitation to Jay Mason, who then extended the invitation to all the board members, and all but Liz Barrett has been able to come on the show. And so I've been very intrigued by each and every one of them. I'm so proud of our, Frederick, for electing all of them. And so far, I feel like everyone, I didn't get Mike either. Mike was retiring, so I didn't get the opportunity to have him on the show. But I have worked with him in central office. He led a special education work group. There's lots of energy, lots of work, lots of areas of growth for special education students who receive special education services. And so we've done a lot of work there. So kudos to him. So I know him personally, and I didn't feel, that was a loss. But I do want to get Liz Barrett on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S. And then you have all the candidates. So I feel like between the two of our shows, we have addressed the people that are sitting and the people that want to be in Frederick County. So two outsiders, you from Florida and I'm from Philadelphia and I'm from Montgomery County. We are trying to work, not even knowing each other at all before this day, to do the same thing with the same passion, which is amazing. Like, I have a passion for nonprofit. I recently, on my birthday, paid the money to have a nonprofit. So I'm waiting for it to come back, but Jeneen C.A.R.E.S will be a nonprofit to do the same thing that you describe with Pure. It literally is to take, maybe 8 to 10 8th through 12th grade students and just track them, follow them, support them, pour in resources, along with doing other programs like you were talking about, like the backpacks, or I wanted to do a girls conference on my birthday, but it was just too many family issues going on right now for me to really pull that off. And so my board, when we start, our first task will be to plan 2021's girls conference.
Well, I hope you put me in on that one, because I would definitely love to talk to you.
You have the resources, it sounds like, right? So
that's good.
Okay, so this is why it's important. Again, it's Jeneen and Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, where we're caring, achieving, restoring, empowering, and supporting our youth for the future. I'm here with a legacy leader who is doing exactly what my mission is. I need to invite her to my board, to be honest, right? Because she's already walking out my mission and my vision. My articles of incorporation is through her life, right? I can see this. So, you might be getting an invitation from my vice president soon. I don't know. I know you're a busy woman right now because you are running for an office while you cannot even get outside and run. I'm sorry to hear that. But I believe in you, and I am interested in hearing more. So how are you remaining positive? You said you were running. That's great. I'm doing the same thing. I've been doing a lot of health, just trying to, because I believe physical health helps you mentally.
Yeah. So
what else are you doing to remain positive?
Sage is my best friend. Sage, Wine, and Erica Badu.
That seems like a very nice Friday night.
I might put on some Tasha Cobbs. Like, I gotta get, sometimes I gotta get in my praying closet. I just do different things that just ground me.
Right, blessed.
Yes, I gotta do things that ground me. I'm very optimistic. I'm an optimist person. I'm like, I always feel like, okay, there's always a better way to do this, or there's always a solution to this problem. Like, if there's a problem, there's a solution. You just gotta dig to get it. So that's what I do. And I mean, like, running, praying. I'm a pastor's child, and my mom's an evangelist. So religion has always been a strong foundation in me. So I know that I have great friends and great support, but it's only one person, that's my homie upstairs, that always keeps me like, this is not your battle, this is my battle. And if you just stay focused, I will open doors for you, and I'll give you double, right? I'll give you double. I'll give you your double portion.
Absolutely.
So I always keep that in my mind. Like, if I just plant the seeds, God will just
take the wheel.
It needs to happen.
Yeah, I
you
love
know?
it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you said Tasha Cobb. Give me your favorite gospel song real quick.
Oh my God. I got so many.
I have a playlist I recently
I got a playlist. It's not even oh God.
Right now I'm thinking everything is working.
Yes.
For my good.
Yes.
Give me one in your head that you played or heard recently.
If one of the songs that I play right now, I would probably start shouting. It's on my phone. It's
So every praise to our
stay. I gotta pull it up on my phone.
Okay, yeah,
do
that before the end of this segment.
I will.
So I've given you 2 of mine so far, so you're 0-2 right now.
I owe you 2.
2 songs before this interview ends, and they have to be gospel.
I will get it as soon as I get my phone. I'm gonna tell you about it. I'm gonna tell you which one it is.
All right.
You probably gonna shout when you hear it.
Yes. My most recent desire to create a playlist ended up being like 30 songs long, and I was like, I never knew. But now I have it. So I have a Sunday playlist that is like extensive that I can play any time of the day. So the next question would be
Donnie McClurkin. Is Donnie McClurkin one of his songs?
Which song?
It's one of his songs.
I like him too.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So your last question would be, what are you doing, or what advice could be based off of something that you're doing that you can give to parents? I need advice for parents, and you can pick who you speak to, and then what is your advice for students, and pick your audience. So pick audience based on your work that you're doing, and parents and students.
Okay, so I just had a talk with my son this morning. Like, he's 16, going to 10th grade, and I asked him what is 3 things he wants to accomplish in his first semester, and that I want every kid to understand the leverage you have right now, right? We all know our kids love school, but sometimes school can be a distraction when it comes to that social circle. If you could leverage and just say, I'm gonna buckle down and do my work and get it done, and you don't have like these time limits, right? Like your class lasts for a certain time and you're rushing through, and but now you don't have that opportunity to actually take in what you're learning and go past what your teacher is actually giving you. Like, especially with the high schoolers, I always tell my son, when you get to college, it's not just what they're giving you. You got to move past that. Mm-hmm. So if they give you a topic or a subject or a person you to study about, dig a little deeper to find out what you're studying. You have that opportunity now because you're in your home. So I would say for the high schoolers, just take it all in, use this leverage, get good grades, and be ready for the next quarter, for the next challenge.
Like a piece of advice. I feel like they're pretty much honorary government employees, right? You're working from home. Your school is your job, and you can do it from home. I need straight A's. My daughter is a freshman online. I said, "Boo, you better bring me straight A's so that we can have a scholarship, the dean's list for second semester. I don't have to pay anymore." Right? Yeah. Opportunity, right?
Opportunity.
How about the parents? What are you going to take to the parents? Because I know you had
parents
working from home, being in quarantine with your children 24/7.
Find your happy space and relax. Like, if you are getting frustrated, your kid's getting frustrated. If you got to just say, this is it for the day, do just that. And find a way to get out. Like, I really think the parents could be part of this process. If their kids needed to learn, like for elementary kids, and you're learning about different things in science, take them out to the wilderness to expand on that. Like, make it fun. You have this opportunity to make learning what it used to be when me and you went to school, right? Like, with the parent, I mean, my science teacher would bring up these what's the Carl and Hobbes cartoon, and the little dog and the.
I like Bill Nye the Science Guy when I was a science teacher.
Yeah, they would make us want to love to learn, and parents just can have that opportunity to do that now. It's not just make it what you used to be like when you went to school, like that you want to learn. And I know it's going to take a lot out of us because we're working. I work, so. But if you got to make it a weekend thing, let's talk about what you talked about on Tuesday. Let's make it a weekend trip to go do something in the wilderness, something. And I mean, when my son's science teacher was using Bill Nye the Science Guy, I was like, okay, like, come through.
I know Bill Nye the Science Guy.
I love him. So my son was actually excited. He went to his class the first thing every morning. So it's kind of like those little things like that.
Yes.
Kids love that stuff. And I think we need to get our kids back to loving to learn. Absolutely. And I think that has been taken away from them. And I think it's the opportunity now to give it back to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate this interview. I've learned, you know what I want to have you elaborate on just a little bit? The position that you're running for. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I'm actually, working kind of with 2 chapters at the moment because as I vacation, I've been vacationing with the Orlando area and besides the COVID down there, and everybody's talking and reminding me of how high the COVID factor is down there.
Yeah.
And so I quarantine every time I return from Florida for at least 14 days before I go out and visit people.
Yeah.
But you know what? On Fort Detrick's campus, that's where we have our insurance. They tell me that if I don't have symptoms after 5 days, then they won't even give me the test. So I have 2 questions, really. The first question is, describe for our viewers, our students who may have no idea what your position would entail after you win it. What exactly is the role of state delegate, and what are you going to be able to do as a result?
So the role of a state delegate is to pass bills and policies to better our state. So if you want more money in education, you go to Annapolis and you lobby about it and get your voice out there of why I should pass a policy and a bill to bring more money into Frederick. And they are the ones at the state level. They change policies through Maryland, and I don't think we've had enough representation in Frederick.
Okay.
Not across the board, black and white. Like we really don't have representation in Annapolis.
Why is that?
Maybe 1 or 2 of them, but because I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know why. But I'm gonna be honest, I can't answer that. But I do know when I get in that seat, I will be big. I will be working for the people. I will want people to come to my office. I would invite the Board of Education to come to my office monthly or biannually to see like what it is that we need to do. I would want those youth to come to my office. It's an open door. Make me work. Right. So if I'm gonna be in Annapolis away from my family, please make me work. So it's just like I'm gonna come back to my community to see what's going on. I don't think a lot of people even know who their delegate is. Like if they walk past them, they wouldn't know what they look like. Right. So don't go to Annapolis and never come back and just don't, because you don't know what's going on. So I think that's my responsibility to them to hold me accountable and me to be accountable for myself for the community. Right. So please, that's our job. Our job is to work for them and fight for them, to get money into our education systems, to get money into our economy for our businesses. So many things that state delegates can do in legislatures and your senator and all those people. But if we don't educate our community and the power that they have, they don't know what power they have. And I feel like it's important that I educate them to know they have power. You just got to know how to use it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I most appreciated your interviews and of the.
Did I answer your question?
I think so. I think We learned more because, you know, honestly, growing up, I remember having a fourth grade teacher who I felt was a little racist. And so I hate geography. I hate politics. So I am developing Jeneen C.A.R.E.S to also challenge my own self to step away from that hatred of like politics and all that to learn about it.
You need to. I mean, what's that? What is that? The Sesame Street, what is it? School of Rock had How the Bill is Made.
Yes.
School of Rock. Yeah, how a bill is passed. Like people need to know, like Schoolhouse Rock. That's what it was.
You know what? Today I was in a training, the Summer Institute for Racial Equity and Social Justice with one of my former principals, Dr. Sean Joseph. And the last part of it was John Lewis. They played John Lewis to close us out. It was 5 days of training, 3 hours a day, wonderful experience. They are offering other, I'll share it on my Facebook later, but you know, the act of voting, they talked about that a little bit and how it's like, you know, democracy is not just a state, it's an act, right? You have to act with it. You have to be, and even voting, we have to get out and rock this vote. So I just publicly say I'm supporting Biden-Harris 2020. I'm a song about it and everything. Follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
Good for you. Yeah.
C.A.R.E.S is a Howard University graduate, and I'm not just voting for her because she's a Howard University graduate.
Who cares if that's the reason why?
But I will
say
Howard University has produced a lot of leaders. So
good pedigree. Good pedigree.
That's not just the street that I live on, but pedigree has come out of Howard University.
Exactly.
And at our commencement speakers or our honorary graduates alone, that should be enough. Well stated.
Yeah. I always say there's 3 colleges that if an employee comes, if a person that's looking for a job come across my table, I'm hiring them. And that's Morehouse, Spelman, and Howard. Like that, like they are just. You
know what? And guess what I did as a principal of Ballinger? I hired a Spelman. I hired a Morehouse. Worthington.
I've hired a Morehouse. Yeah. They're great.
It's not easy to do, though. I will say that it's hard to find minority candidates coming through Frederick because Frederick has a name for itself. Even when I came here, I was warned that, you know, you're going to Frederick and it's not good. And so
whoever's listening, y'all do know people outside are definitely talking about y'all. So if we want them to stop talking, we need to change the landscape.
We're trying to make that change because I love Frederick. I love me some Frederick, and I'm a proud Frederick resident. I have children in Frederick County Public School. Well, now 4 because my daughter's at Hampton University, the other HU, you know, Hampton. So I'm so proud of you, C.A.R.E.S. She is a freshman as of Monday. At Hampton University, doing her thing independently. My baby girl.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going anywhere, so I'm gonna be here till I grow old. So you know what? The thing is that you asked me all these questions. I'm gonna have to ask you a question.
I will let you return the favor because you taught me a little bit about politics. So now let me drop some little education on you. So what questions do you have? Because I feel like I'm an expert in education, being in fact 21 years.
So
I will plead the 5th if I don't know the answer. So I'm gonna give you that forewarning, but hopefully I do. So go for it.
I want to know why you haven't put your name on the ballot for Board of Education. I would just go right for the jugular.
So I actually told my husband probably last year that I wanted to run for the Board of Education. And
everybody hear that, right? Like that.
He told me that you need to keep your day job because they don't pay enough. And I said, ouch. So
you can still keep your day job and just find a job.
You know what I don't know if it was a conflict of interest either. So I think he was coming from a place that, you know what, you can't do both. And so that's the reason why I wasn't able. He could not support me in that because he knew that I love what I do and I couldn't leave that. So if I can find a different opportunity, find me a new job and I'll be on that, you know. But right now, I love what I'm doing. If I find a new opportunity that takes me away from the school, I know they would hate to lose me, but my boss always tells me, Dana Falls, and I'll quote him, he said, I will never block you from an opportunity that's meant to you. So if there's another opportunity looking for Jeneen of Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, I'd hate to leave Frederick County Public Schools, but I just been invited to maybe run for the education 2022, maybe not now.
You
I know
should. You should.
something I might.
You
think
really
about.
should. That's the only question I have for you. I mean,
Yes, thank you. I won. I feel like I'm a superstar. All right, so now you got two more before we can leave. You got two more songs.
Go ahead. Oh, let me see my phone. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me see that real quick.
So I'm actually going to pull up my playlist while we're here so that I can maybe give you some as options and see if you can flow with them. Let's see. My playlist is long. It's pretty lengthy. It's called Jeneen's To God Be the Glory is my title of my playlist because I'm thankful to God for all that I have and all that I will. I think he's a way maker. I believe in keeping the faith. I love the song Sunday Best. And Lessons Learned would be my my all-time favorite for right now. So while you find your two, I'm gonna let that play. If you're a gospel lover, go ahead and clap your hands right now. We're giving her wait time. In the classroom, we call this wait time.
There's a time and season for everything, and I know the Lord can feel and real. You're gonna get what you think you deserve. If you think that's how it works,
It would have to be this one. So, William Murphy, Bow Down in Worship is one.
Wow, so you're like a praise and worship type of person, yeah.
And the other one would be.
That's a good one. I believe praise and worship is a good one. Somebody is trying to messenger me right
She's
now.
doing an interview. She can't. Tiana, what is she doing?
Oh, okay. I was like, who's that? Okay, I'll call her back later. Thank you, Tiana. I see you calling. I will hit you back after this interview ends. Well, you know what? Maybe
so the other one is Rap Me.
Being live so that we can bring people in. So I think people are seeing the video and they want to come on with us and speak.
Wrap Me in Your Arms by Willie McDowell.
Okay.
Yeah, I have lots of them. But when I need to bring my focus in, that's the two I listen to. Those are my two songs I go to, and I just keep my focus. And I'm telling you, I can listen to gospel all day. There's so many of them that just warms my spirit.
Well, I want to just thank you for your time today. I want to wish you best of prayers, I say, not luck, prayers as you continue to navigate the field of connecting with the Frederick community. Hopefully this video will help you. I had no idea that, you wanted to speak about that, and I'm glad you did. That's something that, is dear in my heart to really help people connect with others. And so I'm a connector, I feel like. And so I think that's one of my passions, and that's why I have Jeneen C.A.R.E.S. It was really birthed from the idea of me being, when you're an administrator, you're never hired to your school, right? And so I've been in like 7 schools, right? And so we can never get too comfortable as an administrator, unfortunately, in our position. So I was politely transferred because our district needed me somewhere else. And so it's like, no, I don't want to go. But, you have to be at the mercy of what the school district and the system needs. And so when I say I'm politely being transferred, it's a way of saying, hey, it's time for you to try something else, Jeneen. We see your talents. And so this opportunity as serving the achievement specialist for school culture has been very rewarding for me.
So what is it that you do with that?
I actually make a better impact, a wider impact than just the building of Ballinger Creek Middle School. So right now, I have trained 200 Frederick County public school staff to be restorative practitioners, which is huge. I'm licensed through the International Institute of Restorative Practices. You being in Baltimore, when I use the training videos from the international, the IIRP, they reference Baltimore all the time. They specifically reference the Baltimore riots and how the Baltimore school district used the opportunity of something awful going on to teach students. So the video describes, elementary students coming in, having witnessed, being things on TV that they couldn't even process. If their teachers had not taken a moment to stop and let them speak and share, and then connect it to a teachable moment where they were allowed to say, now, how do we stay safe in life as children, as kindergarten children? How do we stay safe? We follow our teacher's instructions. We report, emergencies to adults. We find an officer to be able to connect with. That is what restorative practices is. It teaches you to build community, to have emotional intelligence, right? To connect and build relationships. If you have a teacher who cannot build relationships, I'm going to respect you, but I'm going to challenge you to use and implement restorative practices in your classroom. I'm going to give you a process called circles to allow you to hear from every single person in your class, not just two, the one raising their hand, but you're going to hear from every single person, because that's the requirement of restorative practitioners, right? We have tools that we use to match our talk with our action. And the goal is to ensure that every child has a connection, a safe place with an adult in the building, right? Because we're here for them. There's no other reason that an educator should be an educator except to be able to build relationships with students. They're first, students first. And any leader who doesn't get it, that's about the students first, needs to change career paths, right? So students first, and then the leaders learn to build community with their students. But then don't stop at the students. Bring your parents into your building, teach them what your core values are, and then allow them to also give you input. I've had some phenomenal parents at Ballinger Creek Middle School when I was there. Some memorable ones, and some that really challenged me to be a better leader. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And then you build community finally with your staff members. Not in that order per se, but you need to make sure all three stakeholders, the same ones that we survey to death, right? You want to make sure you're including them in your school improvement plans. And so I'm working with people across our district to ensure that they're working with every single stakeholder, parents, teachers, and students, and community members, to bring them in to build that community. And the same thing when, like, you work with the police department, right? So restorative justice is rooted from the juvenile justice system, right? And so restorative justice birthed restorative practices, which teaches us that not only are we going to build community 80% of the time, but we're also going to do that so that the 20% of the time when we have conflict, tensions, like Black Lives Matter is a tension right now, right? That COVID brings some tension. Whenever we have to deal with tension, you have to be able to resolve it in a way that you still are in control. The misnomer is that a lot of people think restorative practice is all soft and mushy. I'm straight out of Philly. So I am a high control type person, but I am also a high support person. I recognize that I come with baggage and strengths, and so do our students, and so do our staff members, based on their experience and their backgrounds and their even traumas, right? So How do we forgive everybody, whether it's an adult or a student, when we need to forgive them, hold them accountable still? You're not getting off the hook. We still gonna you're gonna have a consequence if a consequence is warranted. Right?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because that's something that we are working with so the police department in the area I'm working with, we work with those high criminals, and we use the cognitive behavioral therapy. Nice. And we, like you said, they have to understand that they're coming with baggage. Yes. And the police officers come with baggage, right? Yes. And so it's like, they can't, even in education, if the child is coming with baggage and they don't respond the first time, doesn't mean that they don't want it. You gotta keep at it. Like you said, you gotta break down those walls so they actually can trust you to restore themselves. Yeah. And that's what I think that a lot of people miss, that piece. Like, oh, well, they didn't get the first time, they're not gonna get it. They didn't get the second time, we're gonna give up on it. And you're gonna have to come back 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Whatever it takes, yeah.
Right. I have had clients that be like, I've had to come at them more than once. And even in incarceration. It's just like, okay, what did you do that made you get here? What can we change so that you don't get here again?
Change
Like
the behavior.
right.
If you don't
change behavior, yeah.
you just suspend somebody or lock them up for a
Yeah.
day, then how are you changing that behavior?
Changing
if
right.
In some kind of self-improvement program, if the consequence is not attached with also some restoration and some improvement, then you're going to have a repetitive cycle. The school to prison pipeline.
Yep, the school and prison pipeline. And that's what another thing on my platform is like the law enforcement, right? So because I'm in the community division, we have to do community engagement. And that's something that is missing in Frederick, is that community engagement. Yeah. So it's kind of like when I go to judges and, the court system, and they will go, there's 2 reasons why this person is selling drugs. Either he's selling drugs to get high, or he's selling drugs because he needs a job. So either we need to get him in substance abuse, or we need to get him employed instead of throwing him in jail. So that's the whole thing of like this understanding that people don't choose to wake up and be like this, and kids don't choose to come to school angry. Like
separate the deed from the doer and help them grow. Yeah.
So I really feel like I'm so happy that you're in that position, and I hope that this COVID-19 will help teachers to learn who their students are.
Yes.
Learn that some of these students come from broken homes. Some of these students come from great homes. Some of these students come from a home where their parents use drugs. Some of these students come from a home that have no lights. Some of these students come from a parent that works all the time and is never home because their dad's in England somewhere. Like, you got to know that there's so many layers to it, right? And hopefully that they'll learn these layers.
That's interesting you said that, because that was my core values. It started off when I arrived at Ballinger. It was rigor, relationships. No, not even relationships. It was rigor, something else. There was 3 R's when I got there. It ended up being lead after 2 years and some collaborative conversations with staff members, veteran, new, and it became leadership, empathy. So you were describing empathy, achievement, and determination. And then now my tag is learn, empower, act, and do. So I'm still leading. And so I appreciate your sentiments. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Move forward. And I look forward to maybe doing some initiatives together, because it seems like our work is aligned. I think that our county, our district is definitely looking at some partnerships, obviously, with our SROs, because we have school resource officers in our schools. And so we're training everyone in our district on restorative practices. So
good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to following your legacy leadership. And please invite anyone that you feel would be a legacy leadership to our show. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Once again, it's Jeneen C.A.R.E.S, where we're caring, achieving, restoring, empowering, and supporting our youth for the future. I enjoyed that interview. I encourage you, if you're a legacy leader, to join me on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S. I'm still looking for students. I think this was going to be the last day that I really solicited people of adult age, and now I want to go to some students. So student leaders, I need to see you on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S. I need to see those leaders who have organized marches on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S. I need to see those leaders who have entrepreneur skills and want to just share their business on Jeneen C.A.R.E.S. So signing off, have a good day. God